Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to talk about some tips on upgrading your gear. Basically, what are some efficient ways to upgrade your gear and what do you need to keep in mind when you are upgrading your gear. So upgrading your gear is an important process. I have a video covering a lot of the basics, which I'll leave in the top right hand corner. But let's talk about efficiently upgrading your gear. So firstly, whenever you get a gear piece, you want to aim for a red or yellow slot in the first slot. The reason being is these slots cannot be re-upgraded. So whenever you're farming for gear, that's the most important thing to do. After that point, you can essentially take any gear, as long as it's got a yellow or red first slot, and turn it into a really decent equip. I think yellow is 85th percentile, whereas red is maxed, I believe. Now when you are upgrading gear, there are a couple of things to understand, and this is a little bit of a recap on the basics, but it's important to note. You have the re-upgrade decision, and you have the secure upgrade. Now re-upgrading essentially means that you accept whatever it gives you. It could be a downgrade. However, secure upgrading essentially guarantees whatever you currently have without risk of losing it, and then you can tick the option to have a guaranteed increase. However, this will cost a large sum of resources. Now, it's not ideal to do guaranteed increases for your piece of gear. If your gear is at green in the slot and you're trying to upgrade it like 25 times, you're going to spend like 3 billion Zenny and all your equipment shards and just everything on guarantee upgrading one slot. So what is best to do, essentially, what the best option to do is to do a re-upgrade, preferably until yellow, but keep an eye on it because you could get pretty close. You know, like for example, you might get to 12.75% out of 15. That's a good enough place to stop. But you want to re-upgrade generally until yellow. That's the first process. So go re-upgrade your gear, wait till it hits yellow, or like I said, keep an eye on it and see if you get pretty close. Like in this case, you're going to see us hit a pretty close soft cap. So I think we hit 12.35 out of 15%. That's good enough. Maybe a bit closer would be better, but this is kind of the good zone. You're close to being yellow. Then what you want to do is you want to look at secure upgrading your gear. Now you don't have to guarantee the upgrade. You can secure upgrade a little bit just to see if you can edge closer to that yellow dot line. So secure upgrade yourself a couple times. See if you can get yourself closer to that yellow dot site. If you're not seeing any progress, move into the guaranteed upgrade. Ideally, we only ever want to do at absolute most, 5 guaranteed gear upgrades per slot. And the reason why, especially this is coming from a free-to-play perspective, is the upgrade gets exponentially more expensive. So every time you upgrade, it gets more expensive and more expensive and more expensive, to the point where it starts to consume quite a large number of resources. It already does, by the way. As you can see, we're using like 50 slot removers per attempt here, and then 52, and then etc. You want to make sure that you use this time efficiently. These resources are valuable, and if you do this process without knowledge, you can burn through resources a lot quicker. And instead of getting 3 or 4 Z plus pieces of gear, you can end up with like 1. And ideally, we just want to try and maximize the amount of Z plus gear we can get out of a full session of upgrading. It's also best to do this during the bonus campaign. So there will always be bonanza bonus campaigns for equipment and big celebrations. That's a great time to really double down and upgrade because it applies a small buffer to your percentages. But that's that. That covers a couple of tips. I hope it helps you guys out in just maximizing your gear. Another important factor to consider is if you are upgrading specifically unique equips for units. So in this case, Goku's equip, I'm using as an example. The third slot is most important. You're going to be spending a lot of time RNG upgrading this because you cannot secure upgrade this slot. So ideally, you want to maximize those resources. You can't do anything with that slot. So you basically have to full RNG it. Whereas with other platinums, standard platinums, you can do the full secure upgrade across 2 slots. So character pieces are the hardest to do because they have 2 RNG slots. The first one, which you have to farm, and the third one, which you have to get through upgrade. However, this is where you're going to spend a lot of your resources, and so prioritize these, especially if you are planning on using that character. You don't need to worry about getting red every time in the first lot, but if it's an easily farmable gear, please make sure that you do so. And that's it. That's basically it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.